part where you want to go and grab the popcorn. You want to put this on pause, take a leak if you got to. Whatever you got to do, make that phone call because we're going to go into a marathon session. Well, hello everyone. This is Larry Kirshner here from Hauntworld.com, where you can find haunted houses near you. Now, I want to ask you to like and subscribe to the Hauntworld channel, and I want to explain we're doing these videos, not just these Hauntworld videos, but all videos to help the haunted house industry. That's our goal. So support us, make sure you like and subscribe, and you know, we would like to see more comments. And I've got good news. The good news is that we only have a handful of Hauntworld movies left, and that's kind of sad because they're going to run out. But the good news is the quality is going way up, because I think not this video, but maybe the next one, I was like Hauntworld the movie 15 or 16, we started filming them on a digital camcorder, so the footage was digital, and they were for the first time made on DVD, not VHS. So you're going to notice a massive improvement on the quality, and the videos are way better. I've actually watched them. And so I'm walking around here in St. Louis Escape, and we're here at Frankenstein Escape, and I've got my buddy here with me. You see him right here. But now we're going to tell you what is on Hauntworld the movie part 14, and stick with these videos because I'm telling you the last couple are amazing and the quality is incredible. But on this video, of course, we have our friend from Haunted Hotel, Dr. Lady, and his entire cast, including Laura Lady. On this video, we also have Rocky Point Haunted House, in case you remember that haunt, Sidney Neal. But they teach you how they build Rocky Point Haunted House. So that's going to be a really great video. You're going to see how they build sets at Rocky Point Haunted House. Keep in mind, this footage is like 20 years old, okay? 20 years ago from today's date that I'm filming this, it's June 2023. So it's about 20 years ago from today, this video was created at Rocky Point Haunted House. We're also going to take a look at Horror Hotel. We're going to do another visit with Netherworld. And do you guys remember this haunt in Chicago? Dreamreapers. That's right, out of Chicago. Remember all the tours that were taken at Dreamreapers when the haunt show was in Chicago? So they provided this video from Dreamreapers. We have 7 floors of hell, plus how to build a haunted house scene is in this video. So I think you're really going to enjoy this one while I'm here with my dead Frankenstein buddy here in the Frankenstein Escape. We say have a great time watching this video, and until next time, pleasant screams, everybody.
We interrupt this program to annoy you by going back to Chatfield, Ohio and Horror Hotel for another special announcement from Dr. Lady.
Good evening, viewers. You know, it has come to my attention, and it may have come to yours too, there's an ugly rumor circulating that this very production may be the last Hauntworld video episode ever to be produced. And, well, I know a lot of people in the Halloween community are very upset about that because they're wondering, oh no, what am I going to do from now on when I need a mid-season Halloween fix to watch in the evening with all the drunk people that I know when they come over to watch Hauntworld? What'll I do without Hauntworld? Well, never fear, because the rest of the people in the horror and haunted industry community are here to pick up the, how's that go? Pick up the slack, pick up the torch, pick up the gauntlet, pick up the laundry, pick up the kids after soccer, well, whatever it is, are here to continue bringing you some fine quality Halloween and haunted attraction themed video entertainment for your viewing torture. And gosh, just imagine the fun you're going to have next year watching all the great new shows that are going to be available on video specifically for people in the haunted attraction and Halloween fan community.
Up next, America's funniest funeral home videos.
Up next, this old hearse.
Next up, Buried with Children.
Up next, Martha Stewart Living Dead.
Up next, Tales from No Script.
Up next, Wheel of We Spent a Fortune. Up next, Malcolm in the Maze.
Up next, Buffy the Vampire Obsessed Poser.
Up next, Law and Order More Extension Cords.
Up next, World's Most Shocking Fire Code Violations. Up next, Just Shoot Me if the building inspector comes.
What? Up next is going to be Who Wants to Marry a Haunter?
Welcome to Hauntworld, the movie, part 14. That's right, we broke our promise. We said we're going to stop at 13. But because of you people out there sending us so much freaking footage, we had no choice but to do a 14 or hurt all your feelings. And we know how that would have been, and how we would have been the bad guy and all. And so, gosh darn it, we just did it. We made a 14. But thank you, Dr. Lady, for telling us what is in store for all of our viewers out there if there is no part 15. Thanks to you, Dr. Lady, we might just have to do a 15 because those shows seem really, really bad. Even worse than these videos. So we'll keep that in mind. Now, what are we going to cover here in Hauntworld movie part 14? It's going to be a little more boring than 13 because we're going to give you a lot more information than we did in 13. We're going to see fewer haunted houses, but more information, but we're still going to see haunted houses. Now, we're going to talk about Hauntworld the magazine. We did that in the last one, right? Yeah? Okay. So that's old news. But no, wait a minute. Hauntworld the magazine, go to hauntworld.com, subscribe to Hauntworld the magazine. Good. Thank you. Now, what else are we going to talk about in this video? We're going to talk about putting Halloween back into haunted houses. I wrote an article about that very subject in Hauntworld the magazine. That was issue number 3 and 4. That's where that article is. So if you don't get the magazine, if you don't subscribe, you won't be able to read the article. But you'll hear a shortened version of it here on this video. So if you want to hear the whole thing, subscribe to Hauntworld the magazine. I think we've covered that enough. We're also going to talk about some fire safety issues and some marketing tips. And we're going to take a look at a lot of cool haunted houses. So now, we're going to do a how-to. And we haven't done very many how-tos lately. So we're going to take a look at Rocky Point Haunted House. The crew out there at Rocky Point Haunted House built some really cool cave-type scenes. And they're going to show us how they built them right now.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Rocky Point Haunted House in Salt Lake City. We hope that you enjoy what we've put together for you here today. We're creating a how to build a room video. So we hope that you enjoy it. Now, we don't pretend that we have the best way there is of building a haunted house or building a room, but what we do believe is through years of experiment and basically the school of hard knocks, we've come up with what we think is a good way to lay out and build a room. So we're going to walk you through that sequence, and we're going to show you how we create a room. Hopefully it'll be a benefit to you. what we have here, the area that I'm standing in is what we had in the year 2001 as Jurassic Park. That's a spin-off of the movie Jurassic Park 3 that came out, and it was a contemporary film for the day that everybody was talking about. So we created some rather beautiful scenes from the movie, and really had a good time. Hopefully we gave all the patrons who came through our show a really good experience. It's just one small part of our show, and hopefully they enjoyed it. What we're going to do here is show you our sequence. Now, the way that we do things as far as laying out a new room is we'll come up with the concepts for the area. We'll put that down on paper, make a basic sketch of the area floor plan, complete with walls, effects, lighting, all that kind of stuff in it. And then we'll move into the room and we'll lay out boards, which we use to represent the walls and other structures in the area. Now, there's a special reason we do that, which is it saves us a lot of time down the road should we get halfway through construction and find that, well, you know, the way we laid out a certain area just doesn't quite work. So, by laying boards down to represent the walls, we can see if everything fits, everything works together, all the traffic flows the way we want it to, the effects happen the way that we want them to, and that the actors are able to work the room to create, you know, the feeling, the atmosphere that we want, and get the effect out of the room that we want. Now, what we're doing this year is we're moving into this area here and trying to recreate some fun stuff out of the movie that's been popular this season, Lord of the Rings. So, picture with me, if you will. We come walking through the entrance at the far end there. We walk into a pond with trees, a shore, a big rock wall here that has some interesting engravings on a door that is slightly open. Now, on the one side we have a little effect in the water, a disturbance in the water that catches people's attention, calls them over to it, and makes them notice it. Out of the water on the right, then, we have an effect which is going to represent one of the tentacles off of the water monster that's in this scene as they enter into the mines of Moria. That will come up and scare them and then go back down in the water. It'll come up, oscillate a couple of times, and go back down. Then they'll enter through the gate there, through the doorway into the mines of Moria. They'll come walking into the first room there, which is a huge expanse room. Now, we can't do that with only 10-foot ceilings, but we're going to try and recreate it as best we can. So in this room here, we'll have sculptures on the walls of some of the respected, honored dwarfs of the past. Lots of rubble from where it's fallen down, because the orcs have moved in there, destroyed all of the dwarfs, and we basically have a room full of rubble and carcasses. It's basically a tomb. We move, that's the room on the left over here. We're going to put Gollum. We're going to make a little rock in a little pond and have Gollum over there. And he'll be done up with fancy eyes, a little bit of black light effect, and he'll be doing the my precious thing, etc. We're going to move out of that room. We're going to move into what we're going to call the altar room area, which is where the king of the dwarfs had been killed and entombed in this room. And again, a room with an altar, some architectural structure around, lots of rubble on the ground, and some dead bodies, a carcass holding a book, which is, if you've seen the movie, that'll have meaning to you. And in there we will have some large wooden doors recreated from the scene out of the movie where the orcs come through the door and attack everybody. That'll be the big scare in there. We'll have a little well over here. We'll come out of that room, we'll go into a couple of dark hallways. And we like this area because we can close it off. It's confined, it's completely pitch black, it's fairly isolated from the rest of the house. And we've used it 2 seasons in a row now for a completely pitch black hallway. It seems to work very well. In this one, all we're going to have is sound effects from the movie where the orcs are chasing everybody down, chasing them away from the altar room, trying to get them to kill them. And then they gather around them. There's everybody, and then all the orcs get scared away from the fire demon that's coming. I don't know how we're going to recreate the fire demon, but we're going to work on that. And then the fire demon scares everybody out towards this open area where we have bridges, stair-set bridges, and they get stuck on this bridge and it collapses and falls from them. In that area, we're going to go across the drop floor that we've built that falls out from under our guests, and then that'll basically be the end of the show. So, what we're going to do now is I'm going to move into the area here, lay out the boards, and we'll show you what we got going there. I'll walk you through it, and we'll talk about it a little bit. Okay, now I have the camera in hand, so fortunately you don't have to look at my ugly face anymore. We're starting from the entrance of the set now, and we're going to walk through and show you how we've laid out the walls, etc. So this is the entrance. This is where we would begin this particular portion of the show. We would walk in through here. What we see in front of us now, those boards there, represent the wall with the gate on it, or with the doors, I should say, that enter into the mines of Moria. Over here, we've laid out on the floor boards representing the pond area on the left. Now you'll notice over here that the pond continues through the wall, wrapping around to the inside of the next room. We're doing that intentionally so that we have a pond that goes all the way through. We'll build a broken hole in the bottom of the wall there, which is where the water would go through. And then inside we'll have a big rock with Gollum on it. In this pond area here, we'll have a water disturbance that simply catches people's attention and focuses them on that side of the pathway. Up in front here, we'll have that, once the walls, which are going to be built out of wood panels with foam over the top of them, carved to look like rock. We'll have a sandy shore, or a gravelly shore, I should say, with a couple of trees in front of it, a tree there and a tree over here on this side. And then the same thing with the shoreline. In this pond, however, we will have the scare for this area, which is going to be a pneumatic tentacle, which will come out of this area back here that you see built in to accommodate it and hide it from view. So that should be a good scare. Now, one thing I would mention is, as I've laid out this wall here, you'll notice that I've just laid a couple of boards from one wall to the other, and they almost meet in the middle. Now, of course, that's not the pathway we're going to try and force people through. That just represents the opening. I don't think it's necessary to cut every board to fit the size of the wall if we know that there's just a doorway right through the middle of it. So we're going to walk through the gates of the mines of Moria now. We're going to enter into the first room. Again, here is the boards representing the pond in here, where Gollum is going to be sitting on a rock. This room will be filled with rubble and dead bodies, a fair amount of rubble actually. This wall over here will be covered with foam sculptures of some of the, I guess, great dwarfs from history. Okay, this here would represent a wall at the edge of that room. This board over here just simply represents one edge of the doorway, and then the other edge of the doorway is over here. We'll walk through this into the next room, and the first thing we see, we've just got a palette sitting out here that's going to represent the altar. So I'm going to move over in the corner where I can get a view of this room. Here we have the inside wall of this room. Now you'll notice there's a 4-foot space in between. That's because we're going to build over to about maybe a foot into that 2x4 laying there on the ground, and then cut back 2 feet, go over another 4 feet, and then back out 2 feet again, and then return to the wall. And what that is going to be is the doorway. It's going to give us a 2-foot recess into where the doorway will be, or the door will be, and then the door itself will be right in the middle of that 4-foot opening. That allows us to be able to fit actors behind it, as well as put a scare down here at the end of this end of the wall, should we choose, which we may do. And the doors being hidden that way, as clientele come in and walk through this pathway here between the the altar and the wall, that they're forced right in front of the doorway, but yet they can't see it. And then as soon as they get in front of it, the orcs will slam the doors open, jump out and scare everybody. We've created a forced traffic pattern here. This beautiful garbage can represents a well that we'll be putting in. So clientele are forced to go between the altar and the well. So we have a very captive audience right in this area. They're forced in front of the scare. They can't get away from it. Then we'll come over here. This represents the exit wall. Here we have an exit doorway in this room. Then we're going to enter into our dark hallway. See if I can back up enough here to let you see it. So as we exit this room through here, this doorway, we will likely have a black curtain there in order to keep any light from getting into that hallway. And then we'll have sound effects going down this hallway, around the corner, and back up. And then up this little ramp here will have to be removed and redone. And then we'll go across the floor here, all in pitch black, just sound effects. It works quite well if you want to try and do that in your own show. And then up here on the platform, we'll have a fire monster effect built in here. And the fire monster effect will force our customers down this little hallway here, which is dark so you can't see it. But on the other side of that little pail there is a drop floor that we've built, which collapses from underneath the people. It's operated by a photosensitive switch. So there we have the basic layout of our room. Now we're going to build a bunch of panels and start standing walls up and building ponds. So as we get part way down that, we'll bring you in and show you what we're doing. All right, now we're taking a walk through here and show you what we've got. Here's the area we talked about before, up here where the ponds are, and the doors have been, the walls have been stood up in place where we want them. Down here laying on the floor, we have a couple of boards, the one on the left representing the door that will be in place, the one on the right representing the door that will be open. So it gives us a feel for how our entryway is going to be as we walk through. We're now walking into the first room. Again, here we have Gollum's pond area, and we will build a rock in here that'll be out of either cardboard and foam or mesh and foam. And as long as we put the foam on thick enough that it'll support weight and adhere to the floor so that it won't float in the water, or risk, then we should have a really nice little set here. All the walls in this room here will be covered with foam, as will this entire set. We're going to walk out of the first chamber here now and walk into the altar room. What we've done here, I'm just backing up for a second, if the camera will pick it up. Since we have a wide doorway that we're going through here with no effect in it, we've just stuck in a drop panel. Drop panels are very effective scares. They're simple to build and they work really well. So coming through this doorway here, we're entering now the altar room. The altar will set right about here on the floor. We have an exit from the room on that side. All of this wall area over here is going to be covered with rubble, and we're going to create a mound of rubble, in fact, such that we can't pass through it, such that the customers can't pass through it. And they'll have to walk over here in front of the altar. Now I'm going to swing wide right here and show you a reverse on where we just walked through. Here we have the doorway we just came through. We've got a wall here that will be covered with foam, carved to look like stonework. Probably have some pillars, a little bit of an archway top over there. This opening we've left here is a 5-foot wide opening where we're going to put doors in. These will be the doors that the orcs come out of as they attack our customers. We have a 2-foot recess here. You can see the 2-foot panel right here that will help hide the doors and increase the opportunity for a scare out of it. The traffic flow then will be around over near this wall. What we have leaning against the wall here is just an emergency exit that is going to go into this opening here. As you're building your houses, be sure you leave plenty of emergency exits. Make sure you meet with all of the fire codes and safety codes and everything else that we haunters are required to oblige. Now, we then walk past here. We're going to have in this area a little scare. There's an air hose that I've dropped down there. We're going to put a pneumatic effect in there where we have one of the skeletons or corpses that's going to be laying on the rubble in this room will be laying there with his armor and his shield on and everything, and then he will jump up at us, at the customers. This is going to be our dark hallway. This is hallway 1, and we come down and turn. We've got hallway 2. Now we've left speakers on the walls in here. I don't know if the camera picked that up barely. We have speakers on the walls where we're going to have the sounds that are included as they walk down the dark hallway. We come out to the end of the hallway and we go up a ramp. This is not showing, but anyway, upper ramp into an area here which is going to be, as I back out of it so I can give you a wide view, this is going to be our drop floor, and we can't see in there, so I'll just explain. Anyway, that'll be a drop floor that is on pneumatic bags, and when the sensor is tripped, the bags release their air and drop the floor about 3 inches. Now, we've stood the walls up in place, making sure that they provide us with the traffic patterns that we want, provide for the scares that we want, and everything is in place. Now we're going to go back at this point. Before we nail anything to the floor or brace anything to the ceiling, we've just finished a final walkthrough to make sure that we have exactly what we want out of this effect, out of this room. So everything's happy, we're satisfied. Now we're going to come in and we're going to hilty the panels to the floor and then do some bracing to the ceiling. And then this room will be done with the construction, with the exception of building a couple of doors in the second chamber there. And we're back again. We've put added one more feature here. We've put in our doors and our arches. This here represents, we're back at the pond area, of course. This here is the door leading into the dwarf, whatever you call it, dwarf palace, I guess. So we have one door open. It'll have foam applied to it and all this whole area here. We have here what's just a wall, but we'll have foam applied to it and then have it scenic in to show the other half of the door, so that one door will appear closed, the other open. And we've made this very solid so people can slam against it and not hurt them. And in this room here, we have something we're very proud of. We just received our 2 foam sculptures here of the dwarf ancestors. They're about, 7 foot 6 tall overall, about 3 feet wide. These are 2 pieces that are the very first attempts at foam carving for a certain fella, and frankly, he did a pretty good job. I think they turned out rather nicely. We'll scenic them in, age them down, and they'll be very nice when we're done. In here we've got one of our archways. We have this design of archway consistently through this whole set to keep the thing functioning. It's been made out of plywood and bender board. The bender board then gives the allows us to bend around the corner. Another arch in here, and of course we have a large arch over here under which the doors will be. And the next thing we'll be getting to is some foam, so we'll see you when we get it up. Well, now we've got a bunch of foam up on the walls. Thought we'd just come in here and take a peek at things and see how it looks. In progress shots. You can see here what we've done is gone in and taken foam. We've just used a 1-inch white bead board and glued it onto the walls. We've just used contact cement. You can see here how we've attached it on here. And we'll then come back and sculpt this foam. You can see here we've got just nothing but walls of 1-inch white beadboard foam. We're going to go through this archway here and take a peek at the next room and see what we've got. Here we've got, this is the Golem's area here. This is going to be the pond. You can see we've stuck a rubber liner in there. And then we've come around it with just big foam blocks. We've glued those around the side of the pond structure. And then we'll come back and we'll finish sculpting these in to make them look like rocks. And we've brought in some columns here. These have been, it's just layers of foam built up and then cut with a hot knife to make it look like the columns we want. Then a little bit of sculpting we've done up here on some of these lintels. And there's our beautiful foam sculptures. Another column and lintel section, another foam sculpture. There's our reference drawing. You can't see it very well, but have several reference drawings of what we got going on in here. And then we walk through the entrance here. We're going backwards out towards the beginning of the Lord of the Rings area now. And here we are in the front ponds. With it all being solid white, it's hard to see much detail here. The light is a little bit bright, reflecting off of it. But again, we've got the rubber membrane ponds and all kinds of
foam blocks built up around the edge of it. These are glued down quite solidly so that they won't come up as traffic kicks it. And some more sculpting over here. We've got the rocks on the walls being sculpted in to make it look the way we desire. Here's the entrance. I'm going to back up here so we can see it a little bit better. And perhaps we can see some of the foam sculpting going on here. It's actually something that takes a little bit of time to get all the blocks put in the way you want them, get the sculpting going on to yield the result that we want. Still a fair amount of sculpting that has to go on in here and quite a bit in the other two rooms. Once it's all done, then of course we'll scenic it. We're going to put a product called Synergy over the top of it. It's a well-known stucco product. It'll just lay right over the top of the foam. We're going to use the same color as what we want the base rock to be, and then by doing that we can just come back and highlight it with the colors that we want and age it down and scenic it in to make it look the way we want it to. Anyway, so as the sculpting continues, we'll be back to check on it later.
Okay, and welcome back. We've moved forward a little bit on our project now. We're actually to the point where we're putting stucco on the walls here to give it the rock look that we're after. The product we're using is Synergy. It's one of several stucco products. Basically sand and, sticky stuff that makes it stick. Anyway, it holds on really well to foam or just about anything else. You've got to watch this stuff. It'll hang on really well. You can see what we've done here is actually puts the color in with the Synergy. The product itself comes white, and then you can color it to whatever you want it to be. We have a mummy room in the show here where we put it on last year that we have a sandstone look. So we put a different color in there, and then we just highlight it over the top of it with colors, and the Synergy itself gives us the base color. Same thing in here. We're doing a stone look, and so we've put gray in with the Synergy to give us the base coat that we're looking for, the base color. Then after that we'll come back over it and highlight it with different colors and give us the look we're after. As far as putting it on, anybody who's put stuff on knows probably better than me how to put it on, but I do two different ways, and that is if I have a large flat area like we have right here, and I'll take a trowel and put it on, and that gives it a fairly smooth look. If we have a real irregular area, like these rocks here, these guys here, there's nothing wrong with putting your hands in and just slopping it on. You can rub it in with your hands to give a fairly smooth stone look. If you want something a little flatter, come back over the top of it with a putty knife or a trowel and work it till it gives you the look that you're after. We're making some progress here. It seems there's never an end to the work that we've got to do, but we are coming along. We've got about a third of the set stuccoed now, and we'll pick up again as we finish the rest of it off. But we get done with this, then we're going to come back over and of course paint it, give it the look that we're after, then we'll start putting the scenic elements in as far as foliage, rocks, etc. in it. We've got engravings to go around the doorway over here, some black light stuff, which brings us to the lighting and the sound department, and we've got some more work on effects that's got to come in, so there's still a fair amount of work that has to go into this set. Anyway, we're moving right along.
Well, here we are. Let's take a look at what we've created here. We're not entirely done with this room, or I should say with this this Lord of the Rings set yet, but it's coming along nicely. We're going to step forward here and see what we've come up with. Over here on the left we have our some of our set dressing. Most of our set dressing in this room has gone in now. Don't know how well the camera's going to pick it up, but we have a pond over here on the left side, which has a bubbler inside of it that distracts the attention of customers before the effect on the right scares them. You can see we've stuck a tree and some what do you call them, little anyway, reeds and grass and all kinds of stuff in here. We've just put mulch along this area over here to give it a forest feel. We've got real reeds and grass in it. We've got moss over here on the walls. This tree, we've actually cut down a tree, an old dead tree off of a lot, and stuck some branches on it off of another tree, and then it fades into cam net on the ceiling, and it just appears that there's a large canopy of leaves over the top of us. In the entryway here, we've come in and painted the entryway of the movie Lord of the Rings. It looks pretty good. Over here on the right, again, a broken tree stump. It's real stuff, reeds, mulch, grass, moss, etc. in this area. We've got a little effect down here in the water. You really can't see, but it's just a, I'm going to back up over here so if we can see it. It's a little tentacle, or at least it's supposed to be a tentacle, that flops up and down and at the audience and gives them a pretty good little scare. We're going to walk through now into the next room. Here we have some of the initial set dressing. We're by no means done with this room yet. We've put bodies in here lying on the mulch in front of our magnificent carvings. We've got some wall sconces that we've put on the walls. They're actually old wrought iron lamp holders that we then just put lights on. And of course we've got them operating off the dimmers to give us with the desired light level. Right now we've got ambient white light in the room so that we can film, but otherwise that's the only light in the room. These magnificent bodies we have here are yet to be dressed with chainmail, armor, and some weaponry. Back over here, we're going to back up and take a look at Gollum's rock area. Again, we've done some dressing with mulch, with moss. It's been scenicked up. We've even put a little bit of discoloration in the water in all of these ponds to make it look murky and give it depth. We also have a fog machine behind this rock here that we use to create a foggy atmosphere in the room. So there's the first two rooms of our show. Not quite finished yet, but coming along nicely. Well, here we are. We're back again at the Mines of Moria for a final walkthrough. I have house lights up as well as show lights so that we can see. I've done the walkthrough with just the show lights, and it's just too dark for us to see anything. So anyway, we have pretty much finished everything up in here, I'd have to say. Even with house lights on, it's still dim enough in here that some of this is going to be difficult to see. But we have the facade here that is all painted, it's all lit. I'm going to see if I can get up close here and catch some of this. You can see the scroll writing on here, the dwarf writing on the facade. This is actually painted with a black light paint, and we have a black light hanging out up here, hidden up there in them bushes, behind the camo net and tree leaves, that illuminates this when just the show lights are on. It's absolutely beautiful. It stands out just like in film. Backing up a little bit, we stuck a nice big old tree in over here with branches on it going up the ceiling, and then we've finished the ceiling out beyond that with just camo netting so that it gives the appearance of having a leafed tree canopy over the entire area. Pond over here has been filled with water now, has some reeds and whatnot in it. Mulch is everywhere. A nice little tree thing over here, some more reeds. Pond over here where we have I'm backing up around, the tentacle effect that pops up out of the water. Again, we've covered all this area over here with foliage so that it's absolutely beautiful and well disguised. Walking through the door here, again we're back in the inner chamber here. I've been here before recently, so not a whole lot new here other than we have stuck some bodies in here. Beautiful bodies here, made out of bucky skeletons with saran wrap paint and latex over the top of them. Got some arrows stuck in, and then we've webbed them up a little bit. Some of these gentlemen even have chainmail left on them from the battle. The clothes have mostly rotted away, but here's a fellow still got his breeches. Chainmail held up pretty well. Chainmail is actually made by some of our actors here in the show. That was amazing. It was totally labor intensive, but they did a fantastic job. This guy got skewered through the heart. That's kind of rough. Fun what you can do with a simple, inexpensive Bucky skeleton and a few rudimentary materials and a little bit of labor. Gollum's rock over here again. Been beat up a little bit through the show. We've been open for a few days now. Just taking us that long to get everything up and running. The room turned out just absolutely beautiful, didn't it? Moving into the altar room now. We've again dressed it up. We've got ourselves a wonderful little dwarf over here that was writing in his book, his journal, recording the history of what was happening to his people before he finally got shot and died. A little bit of rubble that's fallen down from the ceiling in here. All this is just styrofoam that's been covered with stucco and painted. The altar. Turning around here, we're going to finally get a decent look at these doors. These are the orc doors. From behind here we have two orcs that jump out and scare the customers. Those turned out quite nicely. We have a gentleman over here by the well that got shot by an orc. There's his little bucket out of the movie that fell down the well. Anyway, so we've now walked through the entire construction, painting, decorating, and lighting of one of our sets. We hope that this has been fun for you to watch, even though it's been rather brief. And what's represented on the video here actually took the course of about a month. It was not the only thing we were working on, which is why it took so long, because of spreading it out and working on it among a bunch of other things. We hope that it's been of some value, and you can use this in setting up rooms in your own haunts. Anyway, from Rocky Point Haunted House, thanks for watching, and happy haunting.
Wasn't that cool? They showed you how they did those cool rock walls. Now, where else could you see that but Hauntworld videos? But in Hauntworld the magazine! Because Sidney Neal wrote articles for every single issue of Hauntworld the magazine. You know what else is in Hauntworld the magazine that you can subscribe to at hauntworld.com? Bad Boyz production from Terror on the Fox, who you saw on Hauntworld the movie part 13. They wrote this really, really, really cool article. It was like 4 pages. And that was in Hauntworld the magazine part 3 and 4. So, you're going to have to get that. That's just a tip I'm throwing out there. You don't have to, but you should. You really should think about that. Anyway, on to the next thing. So now that we've seen Rocky Point Haunted House, the crew in action, building the sets, let's go back out to Rocky Point Haunted House and see the rest of the haunted house that we didn't see on part 13. So here we go. haunted house is clearly in my top 10 best haunted houses in the country, and you can see why. You know, a couple quick things I wanted to mention about Hauntworld, the website, in case you haven't been there for a while. We have a mailing list. It's a Yahoo group, and you can go to Yahoo, some groups, whatever, and you can type in Hauntworld and you'll find it. There's about 1,000 haunted house owners and actors and so on and so forth in this group, and people trade information constantly. And I want to say hello to all the people out there that's in the Yahoo mailing group, and I mean everybody is in this mailing group, from Scare Factory to Cinema Secrets to Distortions. I mean everybody that you can think of is part of this mailing group. There's no benefit to Hauntworld.com other than providing the name, which helps attract people to join the group, and it's just a huge group of about 1,000 people that trade information on a day-by-day basis, and it's great. We hope you join it. And then also, don't forget, when you go to Hauntworld.com, you can click on Haunted House Industry, and the top link says Fright Forum, and that's the main message board for Hauntworld. And then on the same site, there's the trading post where you can trade and buy and sell and everything else. And then, of course, we have the featured haunted houses. Now, if you have a haunted house and you want to be a featured haunted house on Hauntworld.com, you need to take the Hauntworld.com banner, which is on the haunted house search engine. We have a search engine on the site. So I think it says Halloween search engine. It's one of the top links on the site. Go there and get our banner, put it on your site, email us and say, hey, you know, check out my website. I put your banner up. Send me an email, drfrightener@hauntworld.com, and we will add your haunted house to the featured haunted house page. See, it doesn't cost anything. At least right now it doesn't. Who knows what we're going to do in the future. But right now you can get free advertisement. Hauntworld sends hundreds of thousands of people to haunted houses every year. So you might want to look into that. And please support Hauntworld.com, because Hauntworld.com is primarily just a communication for the industry. And then in September and October, it kind of converts over to people looking for information about haunted houses. And as you know, we got the yellow pages where you can find all the companies in the industry. And you can also peruse through the haunted house search engine, which I think it's up to like 2,000 links now. It's crazy. So please keep supporting Hauntworld.com, because Hauntworld.com is trying to support the industry. Now, on to another haunted house. We're going to go out to Cleveland, Ohio, and we're going to take a look at a haunted house called 7 Floors of Hell. It's basically 7 haunted houses in one location, and this is getting into that theme park mentality of having multiple haunted houses. Now, I think that this one works, and this is a good one. But I think that a lot of people out there are ruining the haunted house industry because they're doing this type of event and charging a premium for it, because they're saying to the public, well, we have 5 haunted houses. Well, just because you have 5 haunted houses that are 1,000 square feet or 2,000 square feet each, don't mean you have 5 haunted houses. You need to realize that when you're trying to charge $20 and you're saying you have 5 haunted houses and it takes somebody 3 minutes to walk through, you're ripping people off. I mean, let's be honest, you're ripping people off. What's happening right now in the haunted house industry is this. We are totally cannibalizing ourselves. And how are we doing that? We're cannibalizing ourselves because 5 years ago the price wasn't that much, and now we've bought a lot of props and we've moved into better locations, or insurance went up, or we're paying our actors more, or whatever we're doing. We're spending more money on advertising, and we got this into this thing where we had to buy everything we could get our hands on. And what do? We pass the price on to the customer. We're asking customers to pay up to $20. I've seen some of these haunted houses charge because they're saying, ooh, I've got 5 haunted houses. You don't have 5 haunted houses. Some of you do, and I'm not saying you don't, but most of you don't. Okay? The haunted house, the darkness, is 22,000 square feet. Okay? It's one haunted house. Okay? And what's happening is that a customer comes to your haunted house expecting to see 5 haunted houses, and what they see is like a 1,500 square foot black maze, 5 of them, and they don't go to any other haunted houses. Because at $15 or $20, it's too expensive to get burned twice, much less once. And not only that, But the thing that I hear most now from inside the industry is that when people come out of the haunted houses several years ago, they would always ask the same question: where's the next one? Where's the next one? Well, now they say that wasn't any good, because we've set the price so high that we're setting the level of expectation for the customer on a level that we couldn't meet even if we wanted to. I mean, let's be realistic. The price for haunted houses has gotten outrageous, and a lot of us has gotten into scam marketing, saying we've got multiple attractions and that's why it costs $20. Verdant Manor, for $20 for all the attractions they have, now that's the real deal, okay? That's the real deal. He really does have 5 attractions. Headless Horseman out there in New York, okay? I've been there. It takes 2 hours to get through everything, and it's $20. Some of you people out there are charging $20 for something that takes less than 15 minutes to walk through. Now think about how many movies you could see for $20, and you could see 6 hours worth of movies. We are charging too much as an industry. We need to find a way to cut our costs or stop spending so much and try to get our costs down and quit trying to deceive the customers with false advertising, because we're hurting ourselves, we're hurting the whole entire industry. And you know who I'm talking to out there, and I'm not trying to slap you on the wrist. I'm just trying to say, hey, we all are working together. The haunted house industry needs people to go to more than one haunted house. That's the only way we can all survive. If people go to 2 or 3 of these things, that's going to help us all. We need to help all the haunted houses in town, and that means we need to give a good show at a fair price, and then we need to try to steer people to other haunted houses. That's the way we need to do it. So let's take a look at 7 Floors of Hell, or yeah, that's what it's called, 7 Floors of Hell. where you want to go and grab the popcorn, you want to put this on pause, take a leak if you got to, whatever you got to do, make that phone call because we're going to go into a marathon session of information. I'm going to cover 3 areas today. I'm going to cover websites, we're going to cover a little bit about marketing, and we're going to cover a little bit about fire safety. First thing we're going to talk about, and I'm going to give you 25 tips to making your website a more powerful tool for you. A quick little soapbox, okay, about websites. The fact of the matter is that the internet is now becoming everything to your customers. I wouldn't say this a few years ago, but now the internet has become, it's your directions, it's your place to get coupons, you can buy tickets if you want to, you can learn all the information, it's like a brochure because you can show pictures and information, you can even update it, like where you print a brochure, you can't ever update it after you print it, but on your website you can update, what's going on today, what's going on tomorrow, things change, you can put it on your website. There's just so many things you can do with your website. But the one thing you've got to understand is you have got to train your customers, and it doesn't happen over 1 year or 2 years. You've got to train your customers over several years to be ingrained, just stuck in their head that when you say darkness on a house, they know scarefest.com. If darkness is their favorite haunted house, they can go to scarefest.com at any time of the year and see if there's an update or if there's anything new going on or whatever. So now, let's get into 25 things that you really need to get across with your website. And understand, your website needs to be everything to everyone. As the old saying goes, you can't be everything to everyone. Well, your website needs to be everything to everyone. Because your website is your one and only chance in today's world to sell something. And what you're trying to sell is yourself, your attraction. Number 1, directions. Give them directions from like 80 different locations if you need to, okay? But what you can't do in your coupon or your commercials, you can't be very specific. On your website, you can be so specific it'll make them sick. You can tell them how to get there from Timbuktu if you wanted to. Now, you don't want to confuse anybody. On our website, I think we give directions from 3 major highways. But the other cool thing you can do that you couldn't do before, there's like a website called MapQuest. And what you can do with this MapQuest website is you can actually put your address in. You can actually have a direct link right to the directions that they can print out with a map. Booyah. Okay. Number 2, you should have a what's new on your website. All it is text. You can update it every month, every 6 months. You could update it every 6 weeks. You could have, you're giving people a reason to come to your website every so often to see if there's any changes. And you just put what's new. What's new in your world, what's new, what you're planning for 2003 or 2004 or whatever, what you've changed on the website, so on and so forth. That should be your first link on your TLC page. TLC, by the way, stands for Table of Content. Number 3, you should do a frequently asked question page. Like, is it too scary for people under 10? Well, I pee in my pants. Are there refunds? Just all those dumb questions that people ask. You wouldn't believe the amount of questions that people ask. Now, I used to say we do an interactive phone line, and we try to answer as many questions as we can on the interactive phone line. Well, the easiest way to cut down phone calls to you is on your website. You need to answer every single freaking stupid question that you could possibly think that they would ask you. You've got to know what they are. And if you don't, go to our website, scarefest.com. We have a lot of stupid questions that we give answers to. And it's called Frequently Asked Question Page. Number 4, you need to have pictures and lots more pictures. Now, I can tell which haunted house isn't any good and which one is. You know why? Because either A, they don't have pictures of their attraction, or B, they show pictures of their actors. If you're showing pictures of your actors, you're afraid to show pictures of your scenes. I mean, come on, let's be honest. Okay? If you've got cool scenes, you shouldn't have a problem taking a picture of them and putting them on your website. Now, don't worry about being overly creative and bringing in a cameraman and so on and so forth. and getting, time-delayed pictures and so on and so forth. Just get good pictures, even if it's with a flash. If you've got impressive stuff, show it off. That helps sell your place. Number 5, put a counter on the bottom of your website, and I'll tell you why. If you go to scarefest.com, we started scarefest.com off with 0 hits. 0 at the bottom. A hit represents one person to your front page one time. Every time somebody comes there, it turns the counter. So then you got 2 people, and 3 people, and 4 people, and so on and so forth. Well, a counter is good for 2 reasons. Number 1, it tells you how many people visit your site that day. And it can also, over the past 2 years, I've been able to sort of gauge how many people are coming that night based on how many people visit my website. Number 2, it says when your website gets up to 10,000, 20,000, or like Scarefest.com, in 2 years, we've been able to do 120,000 unique visitors. We have done more unique visitors with our website than anybody in the industry that I know of. And we're going to get into the reasons why later on. But that counter tells your customer something. At least on my website, it tells a customer 120,000 people came before them. And by the end of next season, it might be up to 200,000. 200,000 people came before you. What is that saying? That's saying a lot of people are checking this place out. Think about it. Number 6, make sure you get coupons on your freaking website. What good's your website if they can't download a coupon? And getting back to the soapbox I said before, a lot of us have cut our coupons down to the bone where people don't even want to redeem them anymore. Coupons are a huge selling point because everybody wants a discount. And $1 off isn't cutting the cake. No one's going to redeem a $1 off coupon. You need to have a significant coupon for people to redeem them. But make sure you have a downloadable coupon and make sure that you're able to buy tickets on the website. By buying tickets on the website, the incentive for the customer could be because they don't have to wait in line to buy them at your show. But I guarantee you, some of the people, and I know this for a fact because we did it last year, we did over 10,000 ticket sales on our website last year. And you know what? Over 20% never came. Believe it or not. For whatever reason, they couldn't make it. Number 7. Make sure your TOC page is organized. Don't have one TOC page with like this long, like 100 million things. Break it into categories, okay? Like if you're going to do directions, times, and dates, you click on that link and then it goes to another TOC page and it breaks it down more specific. The more specific you are, the easier your customers are going to be able to find your stuff. Don't load everything up on one page. For example, if you click on like What's New at the Darkness, which could be a photo page, it could have another TOC page right there. Number 8, don't load a bunch of junk all over your front page. Most people are still on dial-up and probably will be for some time to come. And when you've got these big, giant, JPEGs or whatever all over your front page and it takes 8 years to load in, forget it. They're out of there. Okay? So think about that when you're making your front page. Number 9, make sure you have a URL that's easy to remember. Nightmare Haunted House on the Ridge in St. Louis.com is not easy to remember. Okay? Neither is Nightmare at Homestead.com / whatever. Okay? If you're in the haunted house business and you can't afford to have a website, then maybe you should think about getting another business because today, if your competition's got a website and you don't, then more than likely he's going to outdo you in business. So make sure you get a URL and make sure it's easy to remember, like one word or 2 words that flow together easy. But don't get don't get into these long URLs, especially these Homestead or these AOL pages where they give you so many. That's for the birds. If you can't afford a URL, if you can't afford $70, forget it. Hey Jim, I know you're getting. I'm hurrying. Okay, all right. This is good information. You're going to learn something here. Everybody's listening very attentive right now. All right, so just give me a second. I'm hurrying. Number 10, turn your URL into a logo. I'm going to give you an example. Hey Jim, can you zoom in? Jim, what are you doing? He was over there playing pinball. See that? Scarefest.com. I had my URL turned into a logo. And guess what? On my poster, what does it say to you? It's my sponsor. This is my sponsor. This is my title sponsor. I want people to remember my URL. Number 11. Stay away from anything gory on your website. You don't know who's looking at it. It could be kids. It could be family. And you need to remember, in this business, we need to stop thinking like, we have to be the scariest, most horrifying thing in town. Because let me tell you something. You're in the business of selling tickets, and you need to sell tickets to whoever will buy one. If people are offended, and people do get offended by gory images, then I can tell you what, they're going to go to your website and think, it's not good enough, it's too scary for my 12-year-old. So you want to try to be PG-13, which this is point number 12. Make sure your website is PG-13. It's scary, but not too scary, okay? Because you don't know who's checking it out. Your haunted house can be really scary, but that's after the fact that they bought a ticket. Remember that. Number 13. Promote your website all the time. That means if you can go to a fair or anything, you don't need to promote your haunted house so much as you need to promote your website. Because you can promote your website all the time, all summer long. You can put new photos, new information, new everything. So whenever you get a chance to do a fair or anything, you need to have a coupon of some sort that tells people to go to your website. Number 14, you should do surveys on your website. Survey your customers and find out what they like or what they don't like. Hand out a coupon in your ticket window. Say, hey, please go to our website and take our survey. Tell us how we did. Also, let your customers know that you're listening to them. Number 15, group sales. Forget answering the phone for group sales. Put every stinking piece of information that somebody would ever want to know about group sales on your website with a link, buy now. It's not that difficult to do. A lot of people are doing it with PayPal. Number 16, make sure that on your website you have applications that can be filled out online, and they can list by category what they want to do, whether they want to be security or actors or whatever. Now, we were advertising our website all summer long with overnights on the radio, and we were able to get about 400 applications. Forget putting ads in the newspaper when nobody reads it. The kids don't read the newspaper. They're on the internet. So put an application on the internet and just watch the floodgates open. And all the applications you get, and you just print them out of your computer, and then you put them all on your computer, a mailing list, and you send them all a letter, and you say, hey, show up on this day. And out of 400, 40 show up, but that's okay. Number 17, make sure you have a contact us page. That means, on how to get in touch with you. Make sure your email's on there and your phone number and so on and so forth. Somebody really needs to talk to you, especially like on the group sales page. Number 18, don't do Flash, okay? Flash looks great, but Flash takes forever to load up. And remember one thing about the internet, if you don't remember anything else, the internet is for information and information only. People use the internet to find information. Your website is providing information about who you are, what you are, where you are, and how much it costs to go, and so on and so forth. So make sure that you don't put Flash and all this other stuff on your website. It looks fun, but it doesn't sell anybody anything. Number 19, list attractions separately. For example, we have TerrorVision's haunted house Inside the Darkness. Well, on our website, it's The Darkness is one. TerrorVision's is a whole nother link on the TOC page. We don't want to combine everything into one. We want everything to have its own personality, so to speak. Jim, I'm hurrying, okay? Here we go. Number 20, link to Hauntworld. Of course, you want to link to Hauntworld. You want to be a featured haunted house? Put the Hauntworld banner on your website. Send us an email, and we'll make you a featured haunted house on Hauntworld. Hauntworld sends hundreds and thousands of hits to haunted houses like yours. So make sure you link to Hauntworld. That's very important for your website. Number 21. Links. Make sure you have a lot of links on your website. You know, the more links you have, the higher you'll rank up in search engines. Not that most people are going to search engines try to find haunted houses, because they're not. Because you're advertising on the radio, or you're putting in print or whatever where your website is, and that's normally how they're finding out about it. But it doesn't hurt to add a lot of links. Number 22, it can't hurt to put sponsorship information on, you know, what does it take who to contact for sponsorship if they want to sponsor your attraction. Number 3, sell speed tickets or give people an incentive. On your website, say, hey, we sell speed tickets. You can go right in the haunted house, no waiting in line. Buy them right here. There's an incentive right there to use your website. Number 24. Have a history page on your website. Tell people about what you've done and, you know, what your background is, so that they'll know that you're really in the haunted house business and this is something that you do for a living. So that's really important. You can do that on your website. Adds a little credibility to yourself. Number 25, again, link to Hauntworld.com. Hauntworld.com can send a lot of traffic to you, and you can send a lot of traffic to Hauntworld and maybe help people find haunted houses all over the country. Now, we're going to go on out to Netherworld again. We saw it on 13. Now we're actually going to see Lights on Tour with Ben Armstrong. Here we go.
Hello, this is Ben Armstrong from Netherworld Haunted House. Larry asked me to provide a tape of some of the stuff from our Inner Sanctum Insane Asylum we did this year. So I'm going to run through real quick and show a few of the items, some with lights on, some with lights off. Of course, it's hard to get any really good pictures with lights off. This is some of the facade. The interesting thing here is we had beacons and searchlights, so it created a really great sense of chaos going on. We had it painted up like a facility. An interesting thing that you guys would appreciate was our barbed wire that we created, which actually was twine and rubber bands tied up and sprayed silver. It looked really dangerous. We used it in the house as well and on costuming, but it looked really cool for people who were coming through and had that sense of, you know, potential danger. We had a pre-show down below, which I can't show you right now. It's all kind of taken apart already. There's a lot of interesting painting, a lot of panels that look like stone, with the B-tape look to look sort of like an institution. This is almost more of a research facility than a straight-up asylum. It's got hospital elements to it. These are some really cool vacuum form panels. They're painted up to look all rusty and stuff, but they're pretty cool. Now this is a hallway we had. It was a queue just before we entered. Listen to the announcements.
Or any of our experiments. There is to be no eating, drinking, or photography of any sort, and smoking is absolutely forbidden. Thank you for visiting Inner Sanctum. Have a great day.
As people queued along this corridor, they got an announce that gave them the rules.
Welcome to Inner Sanctum Incorporated.
I thought that was kind of comical. We also got some really cool art prints that were very twisted and hung them here for people to look at. On one side were the artwork, and the other side was this chain link panels behind which crazed characters would assault them. Of course, they could also get into the path with them. That was great.
Welcome to Inner Sanctum Incorporated. Dedicated to charting the dark
by an artist named Alan M. Clark. These are
for your own
fantastic.
safety while touring our
Very
facility,
creepy stuff he
we ask
does.
that you do not touch the inmates or any of our experiments.
Here's a crazy robot surgery we have going on. This robot is chopping up his body here. It's pretty disturbing if you can actually see it, but I don't think we'll be able to today. It's in the dark. Everybody needs some really tasty heads in jars. What would a doctor's office be without them, you know? Nice, slimy silicone heads. Here we are going down one of the hallways. You can see we tried to build up high. Did a lot of scenic painting here. Lots of machinery going on as we enter into the big machine. Just wanted to show you this real quick. This is nothing special. It's just a big radiation. Actually, it's a biohazard symbol. But we did a lot of these largish things like this, and painted them up. A lot of aging, and we popped them all over the place in dark areas. But they were such a bright type thing, you could really see them, and they added to the sense of a facility gone crazy. It worked out pretty well. Lots of machinery-looking parts, things we found and painted up with metallics and rusts to make the place, you know, seem like some crazed, rotten facility. You can see a lot of the metallics here. I'm blowing myself away with an air cannon. We're just sitting down to the asylum level here. We're about to enter a place where some of the asylum doors are. We had a lot of fun in this area. It was a great area to act. People were pretty scared by this time. These doors are all out of wood, a lot of custom detailing, a lot of a lot of painting on them. One of the great gags here was this door. It really worked well. What happened was, it looks like a sealed up door, but it's on a sliding track, so it opens unexpectedly. See where the hinges appear to be cut, but it opens right on up. And the actor came out of there. It really worked well. I don't know if you can see in here, this is a massive flesh here. One creature that walks forward, and the other half of them is behind. Its tentacles moving on a flying crankcase mechanism. There's actually quite a lot going on in here. There's little things going on in pots, and little hands moving around, and just lots of stuff. We used a lot of barbed wire, a lot of chain link. A lot of interesting painting. Heading towards the morgue area. Another thing I think is really important, we did a lot of with these, what I call, it was dark, you see, this is a really dark area. It's almost like an entryway. So you come along, and you're just afraid to go forward. And of course, there's little animations that bang on the wall and scare the heck out of you. We are in a morgue area. This is a corpse on the table. He wiggles around. I want to show him. I think he likes it. He's a custom corpse. He came out looking pretty good. He's on a gurney we got. He looks pretty cool. Over here are some morgue doors. Now, we wanted to do a morgue, and we wanted the morgue doors to look good. We've seen a lot of them that look like pieces of plywood spray painted and stuck to the wall. So we did a lot of work trying to come up with some metal ones, and ultimately we ended up making them out of wood, which wasn't what we wanted to do, but it's what we ended up doing. But they came out okay. The hinges were all kind of fabricated out of wood and sanded down to look sort of like the real ones. Of course, there were a lot of gags in these. You know, down here we had a body coming out, and this one was built wide, so when people saw it, it looked like the other ones were that wide. And you get an actor pop out of this one, come up kind of against. It was decorated with a lot of little nasty signage things that add to the whole place. Coming to the animal lab here, a bunch of crazy cages, inmates, a lot of nutty stuff going on. I gotta show you these monkeys. They're pretty gory looking. This is a multi-direction area that gives you a lot of ways to go, but which way do you want to go? You know, do you want to go to the saturation chamber, or you just came from the animal labs over there? Maybe isolation cells, or perhaps electroshock therapy. I really like, personally, nerve flaying. This is a strobe room with roach walls. It's always good to have strobes and roaches. Always good for a couple laughs. There's another asylum area with a number of doors. They're constructed in a similar fashion, but painted up a little different. In this one, we had an actual door here that we could lock people up in, or actors would come out of, that led into the animal lab area. One thing I think you guys will appreciate here, and let me see if I can figure this out for you. This particular door has a drop panel on it. We actually made all the doors with that particular pattern, so that in this one door, we can put a drop panel. Let me see if I can reach around here and see. There you go. So that was a quite effective scare. You know, they were used to the doors opening, but not that way. A little electrical area here. All kinds of grout and little cabling and things to make it look crazy. Padded room area, just quilting material, a lot of paint on it, a lot of fire retardant kind of set up. A lot of these were areas that actors could just burst out of. Sometimes people just acted in the space. Let's see. Over here, we're kind of going down under, like in a sewage area beneath the whole asylum. Like a toxic waste area. We love this drippy stuff. Later on, we had an area that was some spinning tubes covered with spikes. They had to walk between these things. It really freaked them out. It was pretty hilarious. But they were all foam, so they were pretty safe. You know, you weren't going to injure you, but they were set on a motor so that if you did grab them, it would stop. That's kind of the way we set them up. So it worked out pretty well. Very intimidating, but kind of fun. Okay, here we are in our reception area, and the walls are painted with an invisible paint that appears. And the strobe appears. There's a robot doing surgery to what appears to be like a TV set. Very cool effect, very disorienting. Good job. This job was done by Stuart Smith. Excellent work. I'll give you a close-up of that corpse here in just a second. Isn't she just tasty? Oh well, I've already used up my allocated time, so we'll be seeing you guys later.
Alright, what'd you think of Ben Armstrong out there in the Netherworld? I want to thank Ben again for sending us that Granny Lupus footage from Lance Pope's place. And we want to thank Ben for supporting Hauntworld the magazine. He's written an article on every issue, and he's provided us footage countless times for these videos. And we want to thank Netherworld because their haunted house is clearly one of the best, and they don't really have any personal gain for sharing it other than the fact that they want to help the haunted house industry. So thanks to everybody out there at the Netherworld. Now we want to talk about putting Halloween back in haunted house, which it was in Hauntworld the magazine part 3 and 4. That glorious article, which I've received tons of fan mail from all over the world about, and who knows where that's going to lead. But getting back to the subject, a few years ago, a girlfriend of mine and I were out at the lake at the Ozarks. They had a really super cheesy haunted house there, and I hope this guy never sees this video. But they had I mean, let's be honest, it was pretty cheesy, and it, in my mind, really wasn't a haunted house because it wasn't dark anywhere, and it was more like a fun house, if you ask me. But anyway, it had mirrors and things like that, and I really didn't think it was a haunted house. And I'm sitting here like looking at this stuff and going, God, this is really, really outdated. And her and this other girl were screaming their heads off because fishing string was hitting their head, and they were screaming their heads off. And that's when this light bulb went off in my head. I started to think about it. It's like, when did our industry decide that black mazes and dark corridors and fishing string hanging from the ceiling and little things that touched our ankles, and when did all that stuff become out of vogue? When did it stop working? Only thing I can think of is it stopped working when everybody thought they had to buy animations to make their haunted house good, or when people could get on the internet and see how cool other people's scenes were, and they wanted to have cool scenes. And so we started moving more into this realism type of direction. And all the while, we forgot about things that worked. Well, guess what? Fishing string, as stupid as it sounds, it works. It really works. It doesn't work for everybody, but it works for a lot of people. Black mazes, where people can't see their hand in front of their face, doesn't take much skill to make one now, does it? I mean, I can think of a few people out there that don't have any skill, but could do it. And, you know, you put a little fog in there, you make it really dark. That means a lack of light. And next thing you know, people are walking around in the dark with their hands in front of their face. They can't see anything. They're taking little baby steps like if they were 1 year old again. And they're scared to death because they can't see. They don't know if they're going to run into something, trip over something, when somebody's going to jump out. They don't know anything. And it works. I did a survey on my haunted house. It was like the most favorite thing in the attraction. I started thinking about it. You know, at some point our industry decided that we need to be more realistic. And it's only been over the past 3 years that we've hear all the belly aching that haunted houses aren't doing good anymore. I got a couple theories behind that. A couple of them I already talked about. Black mazes, they work. They scare people. And not only that, but they add a tremendous amount of length to your haunted house because it's a maze. They can't see, and they walk really slow. So it makes your attraction longer. But another thing that I started thinking about was I had this poster last year. I don't know if you can see it, but hey, Jim. Are you sleeping? This is... Yeah, no, he's taking notes on there. Sorry about that, folks. Hey, Jim, yeah, there you go. Can you zoom in, please? There you go. He's on the job. Okay, not too much, Jim. You act like you've been sleeping a long time. These characters over here were made by Brainstorm. Now, I'm not trying to knock Brainstorm, but you see the blood? There you go. I'm like a weatherman. See the blood right there? And you see how realistic their faces are? Well, guess what? Hung this poster up in a White Castles. Thought that was the coolest images I've ever seen. You know what? To me, as a hunter, okay, and me as a aspiring movie maker or whatever, I just think it's the coolest thing. But you know what? To the people eating White Castles, it wasn't. They thought it was sick. And White Castles took all my posters down. Now, they stayed a sponsor, but they took all my posters down. Now, that didn't help me at all, did it? And that made me think that maybe the artwork, and not only the artwork, but the way that we were marketing the haunted house as being real and so on and so forth, or whatever we were trying to say it was just a little too realistic for today's day and age. With TV, CNN, you can see people being killed all day long in Israel or Middle East or whatever. 9/11 with terrorism and snipers shooting people. I mean, you know, life and death has gotten too real thanks to television. And, you know, I just think that prior to this big switchover of having haunted houses being so realistic and having all these cool effects and animations that are really gory looking and scenes that are gory and logos that are gory, prior to that, what did we have? We had black plastic, we had, you know, I mean, basically, we had actors that were just rowdy and crazy. We had strobe lights and fog machines. And, you know, we had some cool scenes. And we had chainsaws, for God's sakes, because chainsaws scare people. And you know what? What did we do for logos? We had clip art. You know, we had moons and bats and ghosts and whatever. And they were sometimes silly. But you know what? It was fun and it worked. Now, I'm not saying anybody has ruined Halloween because they haven't. I'm just saying that the industry has gone backwards a little bit, and I think it might be because that haunted houses got a little too realistic. From the logos that turn a lot of people off to the haunted houses, you know, the images that we put out there for people to look at. And me personally, I went back to brainstorm and I said, I was rethinking the whole thing, and I said, they're the best. I mean, that's just, there's no two ways about it. They are the best. I went back to them and I said, hey, I want you to make me the coolest traditional type logo you can make. Because it was David Bartolino who I kept questioning the fact that his Grim Reaper was kind of, wasn't that scary looking, and it was kind of silly maybe a little bit. And he even took the word horror. It was America's horror theme park. Now it's America's Halloween theme park. He told me point blank. He said, Larry, that's the way we want it. I sell more group sales. I sell more sponsorships, and so on and so forth. With not being overly scary. Now, his haunted houses are scary, but his logos and his advertising isn't. It's PG-13. And I think that our industry needs to really strongly consider having new logos made that are more family-friendly, and the way we put our images on our website, our marketing, and our posters, and so on and so forth. Everything that we portray, we need to eliminate the blood and the whole deal, and we need to get back with the spiders and cobwebs and the creepiness of Halloween and the fun of Halloween, and get away from being too serious and too realistic. Okay? And another aspect of that is the showmanship. Maybe we need to get back to the actors more so than just relying on things, gory props that we can buy. The props that people sell are cool, but maybe to some degree we've been relying on them just a little too much. Maybe we need to get back to the basics a little bit. And once we've got our grip back on the basics, I think all the props and all that stuff just add to it. It's like icing on the cake. But I think that too many people have tried to make that the meat and the potatoes of the attraction rather than the basics. And I think you've got to go back to the basics to some degree. I'm not saying don't buy anything, because I know my check's going to be wide open. I'll be the first one in Scare Factory's booth. I think their stuff is ultimately cool. I think Distortion stuff is ultimately cool. And Little Spider and all those guys, all their stuff is cool. And we buy tons of it. All I'm saying is that maybe to some degree we've gotten lost. Because before we could buy all that cool stuff, we couldn't buy anything. We were pretty basic. We were, a peanut shell without a peanut. And I think now we need to start thinking about we need to go back to what was working to begin with, and then all this other stuff just enhances it. You just gotta think, you gotta have the horse before you can pull the wagon, so to speak. Hey, we're getting candy fires that have gone on in the house this season. I love our two bunchy and 2 weeks. The bunch of there and people can't just trouble things. Come to be there and tell you what, because it's all over the come to the future. Nothing like that happens. That game happens. You even have to put every night. Most building people live parking on the haunts, you're walking on pins and needles, and you've always got to walk the straight and narrow. So we don't need any mishaps in the haunted house industry. I'll tell you the biggest thing that would put out fires, okay, is number one, that you had fire extinguishers, like 100 of them, all through your haunted house. There's like no way you couldn't have access to a fire extinguisher. And make sure that your fire extinguishers are recharged every season. I mean, it's crucial to recharge your fire extinguishers every season. You need to make sure that every actor in there has one, just as if they would have a flashlight or any other kind of emergency equipment. Make sure your actors are your eyes and ears in the attraction. And you know what? Don't be afraid to give them a radio. Because your actors, they're going to be the first people to notice. If you've got a haunted house and you've got an actor in every scene, well, you've got the whole place covered. If something goes up and an actor has to run halfway across the building to tell you there's a fire, by the time you get back to it, your haunted house is going to burn to the ground. But if every actor has a fire extinguisher, he has a radio, and he can tell people what's going on, I guarantee that you could put that fire out a lot faster than the fire department could get there. You know what I'm saying? And this is really, really important for you to consider. Make sure all your fire exits are illuminated. Make sure you have a lot of exits, as many as possible. And check your haunted house every night. Do a walkthrough. Check the walls. Make sure they're not wobbling. And make sure that your actors in your haunted house, like I said, are your eyes and ears. if they see something broken or they see something that looks funny or a wall that's shaking, don't wait till tomorrow. I hate that attitude. I got into huge arguments with some of my supposed managers because they say, oh, I'll fix it tomorrow. I don't care if it's a burned out light bulb. I want it fixed now. If somebody's paying $15, I want it fixed now. There is no tomorrow. I don't care how you fix it, fix it. I don't care if there's a ladder in the middle of the aisle and we have to stop the show. It's got to be fixed. And that's the bottom line. That's what will help you avoid lawsuits and things like that, or major catastrophes. And don't hesitate, to talk to your fire marshal about, other things that you could do that are going to help your attraction. You don't need to be on the 5 o'clock news. We don't need it as an industry, and we, and our customers need to feel like they're safe when they go into a haunted house. But the bottom line is make sure that your actors are your eyes and ears in that show, and don't hesitate to let them all have a radio. Now, the very last thing that I'm going to talk about on my soapbox on Hauntworld the Movie Part 14 just checking on Jim, sorry. I don't see him. The very last thing that we're going to talk about is I'm going to give you a couple quick tips on marketing. And these are all things that I've kind of like learned over the past year. We're mainly talking about sponsorships here. Is make sure that when you're doing a presentation, you're doing some kind of book, make sure it's really nice and professional. It's got your logo on the front. Make sure that it's not gory. Even if your haunted house is gory, don't send something with gory images to sponsors. They're going to throw it right in the trash can. You have to remember, if Kentucky Fried Chicken or Pepsi is going to sponsor your attraction, do they want to sponsor something that could potentially offend some people? I mean, today's day and age, people get offended by the smallest thing. You don't want to be in the business of offending even one person if you can help it. So, if anything, you definitely don't want to offend a sponsor, or you don't want to have a sponsor say to themselves, I don't know if this is good for our clientele. Keep that in mind. You want to always come across as a family attraction that's attracting families, that's fun for Halloween, and so on and so forth. You want to make sure that in your sponsorship pitches that you get that across. Another thing is, if you ever have sponsors out to your show, make sure you have a cool office with a lot of cool toys and cool figures and whatever, anything you have. Take them out of your haunted house and put them in your office. It makes the sponsor see that you really enjoy this and it's really fun for you, and they'll dig it more. And everybody loves to see cool stuff and touch it. Have you ever been to like Universal Studios and you're touching the trees and stuff like that? Oh, look at how cool that is. People want to touch things, and hey, that puts them at ease right away. You've got them right there on the spot when they're going to start touching your props or want to play with your props. Did that sound funny? Play with your props? But anyway, I didn't mean it that way. So anyway, make sure you have a kind of a cool office, real Halloweenish. Make sure that your sponsorship package that you're going to send somebody is short and sweet and to the point. Make sure it's all bullet points, and you basically bullet point everything. Nobody's going to read a couple paragraphs or several pages of text. These people get sponsorship packages all the time. They want to look at it and go, boom, boom, I see. Oh, okay, boom, boom, boom. Wow. Okay? And if they're interested, they're going to call you for more information. Remember that. Make sure in your sponsorship packages you offer tons of tickets. Let's say you're asking them for $10,000. Give them $10,000 worth of tickets in addition to all the other stuff they get. I guarantee you maybe 20% of those tickets will ever be redeemed, but at the same time, like if you're a Pepsi, you're thinking, I'm going to give these tickets to the grocery store people, or maybe I'll get better shelving when they're stacking the shelves. The tickets mean a lot to the sponsors. Offer the sponsors a private party for their customers or for their employees. That could go a long way because they're thinking they're getting a perk out of it. And last but not least, take a look at what amusement park sponsors are. When you're trying to figure out who you should go after, you don't want to go after their sponsors because you'll never get them. But you can look at their sponsors and go, well, they've got Coke, so I should go after Pepsi. Well, they have Snickers, so maybe I should go after Butterfinger, and so on and so forth. And you'll kind of see the people who are interested in sponsoring events. You could also look at, concerts, like if a big Ozfest was coming to town. Well, that's very similar to a haunted house in the sense that it's an event that's appealing to a lot of younger people. Take a look at their posters or brochures. Go to the show, see who all the sponsors are, and contact them. More than likely, they're going to be interested. And finally, I have nothing else to talk about. I'm sure every one of you are about as enthusiastic as Jim is right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut away. This is kind of embarrassing, but we're going to cut away to Dreamreapers Haunted House, and we'll be right back. I have to talk to my cameraman.
Welcome to Dreamreapers.
Thank you. Thanks.
Well, that was Dreamreapers Haunted House. I'm back. I've got my cameraman back. Actually, I had to get another one because for whatever reason, something fell out of the ceiling and hit Jim on the head, and then he fell on the floor and he hurt his head some more, and we had to call an ambulance, and it was just a freak accident. It was one of them freaks in nature kind of things, and don't worry, there's nothing going wrong, just one of them little things happen. So anyway, we're moving along with cameraman number 2. That was Dreamreapers Haunted House. Now we're going to do a really quick walkthrough of the Darkness basement section that we built last year. And we'll start rolling the credits over to the tail end of that segment. And we're just going to kind of walk through and show you a little bit of the detail that we've done in the Darkness in 2002. So once again, thanks for watching Hauntworld the movie part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. You know, that 14 now. That's how I'm teaching my son how to count. I'm laying out all the Hauntworld videos. 1, 2, 3, you know. So anyway, again, thanks for watching, and thanks for the support. Don't forget about Hauntworld the magazine. Go to hauntworld.com, join the Yahoo mailing group, and participate on the Fright Forum, and so on and so forth. And we appreciate all the support that you've been given. Hauntworld.com, and we'll keep trying to provide you as much accurate information as we possibly can through the magazine and the website. Thanks a lot. This is Larry Kirshner again. I'm over here at the Darkness, and we're going to do a quick run through, and we're going to look at some of the scenes real quick, and I'm going to show them to you. All right, here we go. All right. I like a lot of these kinds of pictures, these real ones, and that's real wallpaper. And it's the haunted house hasn't been repaired since last season. This was a real big winner for us. I really like that from Distortions. This is a library, hard to see. These wall sconces I got from Walmart, believe it or not. I like the real fiberglass stuff. There was an ad for that in Hauntworld the magazine 3 and 4 from a company called Prop World. It's really cool. We made that kind of like its own scene. See, he's like inside the bedroom. And then this year we built this really cool staircase. And inside the staircase we put a drop picture. It's inside of a door. You can see the actor shook the door like violently, and then he dropped the actual door. It's pretty cool. And this year we're going to try to build furniture like that sticks out from the wall that the actor gets inside of and drops the drawers, stuff like that. It's going to be pretty cool. Okay, we're in our kitchen. It's kind of beat up. This was a cool prop we got from Scare Factory this year. Whoa! As you can see, he comes out pretty violently. But he was cool because he came out. We kind of like made a table out of him and put those skeletons around him. Looks pretty old in here. We're getting to the basement. This is another cool thing that we bought last year because we had this really cool crib here. And then we just added another one. Pops out of there. Grandma's sitting in an old wheelchair. We lost battery power there. That's why we had the blackout. You see we got this stuff from like Lowe's, and you see how we cut it? The bricks. We kind of cut it up. Looks kind of cool. Spackled the other side gray. It's kind of neat. Just put trunks and barrels and whatever all over the place. Looks pretty cool. And then we got real conduit over here with wires coming out. And then we got that, and that actually flickers, and that looks like a real electrical box, and that is a real electrical box. And then we had TV sets in here which had fake flames on them. It's kind of cool. And then we set up this like little workstation over here. That was actually a working fan, believe it or not. This is kind of the station where a guy would have been working. And there's our boiler. We got really cool boiler sounds in here.
which we could turn on, but then you'd never be able to hear me talk, and God knows everybody wants to hear me talk, so. That was a demon that's like supposedly smashing out of the boiler. This was like a real door we found. It's kind of cool. Just another cool little gadgets on the wall. This is supposed to be just kind of a wall that's, it was a new style we're building. Instead of building it all the way up, it's just a wall that's isn't really all there. Again, more TV sets in the walls. That was a drop picture activated on the floor down here. Somebody actually said this was the most clever thing that they saw, was the way that we were doing the pressure pads. We're putting that little tin over it, and then we put that stripping over the wire. And again, see the fire is on the TV set. You can see a TV set in there, and you just see the strips of black. And then we just put a door in there, and we frame it around. And this is supposed to be our wine cellar. This is a TV set with more flames in it. Then those are real bottles, of course. And then one of the big things that we like to do is we don't like to build walls all the time, so build a wall of crates. So you got to walk around the crates. There's 2 crates and another wine stack there, so you have to kind of walk around it. And there's an old lady, kind of dead. There's like a flickering flame in the fireplace. This is what we call a spider room. Tons of spiders. You can see the wall just kind of deteriorating. And you can see people walking on the other side of it, too. Just spiders everywhere. See all them spiders? And there's a strobe light in there, too. And then we called this was like the only gory scene we had. It was like Jeepers Creepers. And there's like, see, he's making faces. That was the whole idea. That he's making face plaques, which we got from Cinema Secrets, and he's got them on the wall. And he's looking for your head next. And then we had this cool prop from Distortions, and like he was going to be the next victim. And then to keep people away from the props, you see we put the crates around it, because we want people to get as close as they possibly can get. And here's another wall that's just kind of deteriorating. More real pictures. A fireplace. Here's the other side of that wall we just looked at. It's kind of cool. Built everything up to the ceiling whenever possible. And see, here's kind of the room. The TV sets are in the back. You can see them. And then here's the door, so the actor can get back here. And there was a ghost in that mirror. More TV sets, things on fire. And then here's the staircase with the animation we call Grandma. It was one of our favorites last year. The Grandma descends off the top of the stairs. And as you can see, we built a really cool staircase. And then last but not least, we had a big screen TV set with some crates in front of it. And basically there was like a demon, or it was like a man on fire in there. And it was really cool. But, oh, that light. Oh, jeez. But anyway, that's about it. That's all we've got for you on Hauntworld Movie 14. We just thought we'd give you a quick little tour of our darkness here. Hopefully we're going to be moving it. We bought a building next door. It's going to be 3 stories high. And we're going to build a London section more than likely. And it's going to have an asylum in it, an old London asylum. It's going to be really, really cool. And so anyway, that's it.
So there you go, everybody. The Hauntworld, the movie, part 14. What did you think? Did you like it? Let us know down in the comments below. And trust me, we got a few more videos to go, and you're going to like those, I think, a lot better, because the quality is better, the attractions are better, and there's a lot of great how-tos. So the next video from the Hauntworld series is going to be Hauntworld, the movie, part 15. And then we're going to upload some other videos as well from the vault. So, follow us, like us, and subscribe. Ring that bell so you get notifications when we upload more videos. And no, we're not trying to be famous YouTubers. We're just trying to help the haunted house industry. So there you go. Hauntworld the Movie Part 14. Thanks for watching. And next up will be Hauntworld the Movie Part 15. And we have it all the way to Part 17.
For scary videos and more, subscribe to our YouTube page, Hauntworld.com.